happened to your life. Drinking will take everything away from you sooner than later. I arrived at the place of complete disgust for myself. See, addiction had taken everything away from me. And does my troubled past mean my drinking was justified? No, it just means I needed help long before my addiction ever started, right? That was the product of it. I was incapable of managing my own life. Sound familiar? Anyways, on a side note, have you ever noticed when we're addicts and we go to a place and we're with people and they order drinks and they leave drink in the cup and they get up to leave the table because they're done with their dinner and there's still drink, and you feel obligated to scream, "Hey, wait, you forgot, you didn't drink it all." This is what, and they're like, "Yeah, it's okay, I don't want it all." What? I mean, we can't comprehend that, right? So we cannot grasp that idea. But I don't know about you, but there's variations of me. There is psychopath me, suicidal me, depressed me. As my son said, I'm the worst drunk on the whole planet, which he is absolutely correct on that. I actually, as a side note too, between January to August of 2017, the police, ambulance, or fire trucks were at my house 433 times. I have the records printed out. Anyway, so, all right, so the other thing is, I knew I needed help, obviously. My husband was about done with me. My kids were, I lost my kids. They weren't legally taken from me, but they couldn't be around me. And I'm thankful that they were not around me because I love them and I didn't want to hurt them, but I hated me. So, you know, they went. And anyway, so I remember it was the end of August and a commercial comes on, and you know by this time we're already drunk when the TV's on, and the commercial comes on and says, "Are you depressed?" "Yeah, I'm depressed." You know, "Do you need help?" "Yeah, I need help." Right, but I'm drunk already and I'm listening to this commercial and they're like, "Are you lonely?" "Yeah, I'm lonely." "Okay, call the Malibu Treatment Center." "Ah, okay, I will." So I called this guy named Chris because no one called for me. Drunk me knew I needed help. It's like when your drug dealer cuts you off, right? That's what drunk me did. He said, "Enough, you've got to go. Your drug dealer is making money from you, they're doing drugs with you, but there comes a point where he can't even handle you." Well, that was me. Drunk me said, "You got to go." And so I made the call, booked myself into rehab with no memory of it. And then the next day I got a call and he says, "Are you excited to go?" And I'm drunk again, of course, by this time. And I says, "Go where?" And he goes, "You're going to rehab." I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, you signed up and get paid for it." I said, "What?" So I was like, "Well, okay, I'm going to rehab." At that point I knew that it was death. And you know, to be honest, my family and my friends and my kids all were completely 100% prepared for the phone call that I was dead by suicide. So I knew I needed to go. So I called my husband and Vision and Anthea, and I says, you know, "Come on over." And Vision and Anthea says to me, they're my pastors, they go, "You cannot be drunk when we come over." I said, "I won't be." I wasn't drunk. They may not know, I wasn't drunk, but of course I did drink. And so anyway, so as I'm packing, right, I get this brilliant idea. Well, I'm going to rehab, so I might as well drink. No big deal, right? And so I'm packing and I'm drunk. And the funny thing is, the stuff I packed was insanity because I obviously had no eyeballs to see what I had packed. But the Uber driver shows up, and I convince her that I need a bottle of vodka on the way to the airport. And she stops. So I get the vodka, and I get to the airport. I don't remember getting to the airport. But somehow I got on the airplane and made such a spectacle of myself that the airplane could not take off until TSA came and arrested me with handcuffs off of the airplane. I'm still looking for that YouTube video. Thank you, Lord. Graciousness. Because I haven't found it. I look on occasion. Anyway, so I got arrested, and instead of taking me to jail, they decided to take me to the hospital because they saw the fresh wounds on my arms, and they thought that I would do something to myself. So normally I am not a nice person when I'm drunk. So that they said I was nice, I was like, that's the Lord, because that's not me. So they took me to the hospital instead of jail. But Felicia, my sponsor, had to come pick me up. That woman's amazing. She stuck with me through so much. She broke doors down as well to get to me. But so I was released in her care. So she brings me home and she's going to pitch. So they said I can fly the next day because I was polite. So they allowed me to fly. And so she says, I will be here, I will pick you up, and I will get you onto that airplane and you will be sober. Okay, yes ma'am. So she comes and gets me in the morning, picks me up, we go to the airport. And as we're going to the airport and walking through, the people that worked there, a lot of them were looking at me. And I just got the understanding, oh wow, they were there. I said, you saw me yesterday? They did, yeah. And I was like, okay, oof. Anyways, they said, but you were nice. That's the thing I kept hearing, and I was like, boy, that's not me. But anyway, so I get on the airplane the second day, and the funny thing is it was Delta Airlines, and the only row that they had available was aisle 5. If you know Delta Airlines, aisle 5 is considered first class. What do you get in first class?
Alcohol. Free booze.
So I'm sitting next to this kid, Adam, right? He's 24 years old. And he's drinking rum and cokes like they're going out of style, right? So an hour and a half in the flight, I'm like, no, no, no. I'll take 2 vodkas with a Fresca. So when I arrived in California, the driver that was coming to pick me up somehow found me at a bar down the street, because I don't remember landing, and found me at a bar down the street to come pick me up to take me to rehab. Well, I guess I don't know, that's a miracle in itself. But anyway, so he takes me to rehab, right? And I wake up on the floor naked in a house. And I'm like, oh my Lord, I've been kidnapped. This is it, I'm done. And I'm hearing guys' voices outside the door, and I'm like, oh Lord. So I'm throwing my clothes on really quick. I'm trying to get out the windows and the doors and everything. I can't get out. Next thing I know, this door opens up. And the guy goes, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're at recovery. And I'm New Yorker. I says, prove it. He shows me his badge. I said, good night. 2 days later, I woke up. But the reason I was naked, because I know, what in the heck were you doing that? The AC had broken, so I guess I was hot. Anyway, so that was the beginning of my sobriety. So my death was September 1, 2017. My birth was September 2nd, 2017. And today, if I decided to drink, there are careful steps that would need to be followed. 1, I would need to wake all of the neighbors up. 2, I would need to call the police. 3, I would need to call the fire trucks and the ambulance. And 4, I would need to cut myself and pass out and pee on myself. It's a lot of steps I would have to do if I decide to drink today, because it's all going to happen anyway, so I might as well just get it out of the way, right? So for me, if I drink, I don't make good choices, obviously. So we admitted we are powerless over our addictions and compulsive behavior, that our lives had become unmanageable. Romans 7:18, I know that nothing good lives in me. That is in my sinful nature, if I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. So we know this, right? Well, today I have scars, obviously, from elbow to wrist. Most of you have seen them. They're very horrific, very obvious. I cut every single vein vertically and horizontally to the bone on my arm, so you can see stitch marks, you can see everything. Amazing, I didn't die again, the Lord. But the interesting thing is my scars are a roadmap to what my life was like. And today those scars actually end up being a tool to help others, because it's not something I can hide. Occasionally I'll reach for something and my sleeve will pull up and someone will notice it because it's so horrific, and it will usually end up with a conversation. But because I was given grace and allowed to live, I can now share that graciousness with someone who then looks at my arms and says, what happened? And then I tell them, you know, I made some really bad choices, and it was a suicide attempt. And they say, then they pull their sleeve up and they show me their arm. And typically they cry and they say, I haven't told anybody this. I hear that a lot. It's amazing. So what I know is that I can control twisting the top off the bottle, but that is all I can control. And if I choose to drink, I need to ask myself the question, is today a good day to die? We made such an fearless moral inventory of ourselves. If you shut your grief up, it will show up in some way, usually in a bad habit. If you don't talk it out to God, you are going to take it out on your body. Recovery is being stronger than you ever had to be because it means dealing with the things that made you sick. The payoff is you get your family and friends back. You build a foundation made of steel that you will know who you are, what you stand for, and desperate to share this with other sick people because you never believed this life truly existed. That is recovery. I'm an addict. We don't walk over dead bodies. We pick them up and carry them. We teach them how to carry themselves until they can carry themselves. When you have received healing and grace, you want to share it. This makes you dangerous because when you open your mouth with your experiences, it forges friendships that are made of steel. Romans 12:1, therefore I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. I am not perfect, but neither is anyone else. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of times that I would feel, judged. It was difficult for me to go and speak to people. I mentioned that in the beginning. But my husband said something once, and it resonated with me, and it's always stuck with me. And he didn't say it this way, but this is basically the gist of it. And he said, do you know who's really glad do you know who's really glad you don't know what they did on their worst day ever? Because if you did, you would judge them. Do you know who that person is? Everyone. So the next time you're standing in front of someone and you're feeling condemnation, you're feeling awkward, you're feeling judged, just in your mind, instead of picturing them in dirty underwear, close your eyes and say, ha, aren't you glad I don't know what you did? And then you'll always have the confidence that they're no better than you and you're no worse than them, right? So one thing that a couple tools that I find to be very helpful is reframing my thoughts. So I'm going to use a husband and wife as an example, right? So we're at home, our husbands come home, and we want to go to a movie. And we says to our husband, hey, let's go to a movie tonight. He says, I'm tired. I don't feel like going to a movie tonight. And you immediately go, and you start to fume, and you start to think, he doesn't want to spend time with me, he doesn't like me, I'm not important anymore. Well, what if he's really just tired? Is that okay to just be tired sometimes, right? So if we can reframe our thought process, and when our minds start to go, and we start to make those assumptions, because we are not mind readers, we do not have a time machine, we do not know what other people are thinking, and if we could, it wouldn't have necessarily turned out that way. All of those things apply. So if you take it, whatever experience it is, and instead of immediately allowing your brain to go into that negative neighborhood in your brain, say, you know what, maybe he's just tired. I'm going to go make some popcorn, get some Cheetos, get some candy. I'm going to put my favorite PJs on. I'm going to get a blanket. We're going to chill out on the couch, watch a movie, and have a great night. Reframing is something that is a tool that's been very helpful for me. Also, your feet, your phone, and the company you keep. You are in control of those three things. Any situation you are in, any of those three things are your ticket out. If you're in a bad situation, you take your feet and you get yourself out. If you're getting called by people who are tempting you with something, you don't answer. And if you're around people who don't want the best for you, you don't have to be around those people. So your feet, your phone, and the company you keep is a weapon that you can keep in your back pocket and use in any situation that you are faced or confronted with on a daily basis. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another being the exact natures of our wrongs. Be kind to one another, support one another, pray for one another, therefore confess your sins to each other, and pray for each other, so that you may be healed. James 5:16. Addictions suck, but addicts don't. We get well in community, and that's why this program works. James 5, confess your faults one to another, and pray for each one other that you may be healed. If you want to heal, you confess to someone else. If you want to be forgiven, you confess to God. You've got to feel it to heal it, and you've got to cope to hope. And when your ego flares up, just remember, ego means edging, God out. You feel that ego, you know he is no longer in the room. Jesus has left the building. So, 1 Corinthians 10:12, if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. We are addicts, I see your heart. We don't step over bodies. We don't turn our back when someone needs help. And when an addict asks you to hold space for them, you do. We have a gift of graciousness taught by struggle and achieved by God's grace in our life. And there is not another group of people I would rather be with. I believe that the information for our life is in the books. I believe that. But I know that the miracles are in the people. I have learned more from you guys in life because I got a kind of a late start. I didn't have a TV until I was 22. I've learned a lot from you. Teresa says to me all the time, she goes, you might be the only living example of what this book is. And I always remember that when I'm out there. And then I remember what Felicia dealt with when she pulled me out of the bathroom covered in blood or whatever situation she was in. I remember that people fought for me, and I will fight for them. So the miracles are in you, and don't forget that. I'm honored to call you my friends, my family, my sisters, my brothers. And then next time you look in the mirror, I want you to do something. To look yourself in the mirror, I want you to wink, and I want to say, go kick some ass today. So with that, I want to thank you guys for coming, and if no one has told you today, you matter. I am proud of you, and I love you. Thanks.